Should I sit over here or?
You sit there wherever your good side is. You feel like it doesn't matter.
I don't have bad sides, Christy. Yeah, right. I don't know. I've never really determined which is my good side or my bad side.
It's like whatever, you know, the side that you take selfies on, you know?
And by the way, I have to say, what is it, a shout out? You guys say?
Oh yeah, shout out.
Shout out to my makeup person.
Oh, me. Shout out to my makeup person. Yeah, low-key, I did a good job. Like, I think it looks really good. I'm like surprised. I don't usually do makeup on white folks, so.
Oh my God. I am not white. I am not white.
Alright, dudes!
Should we get the... Is it recording already?
Yeah, it's recording. Good. What's up, dudes? Welcome back to my channel. Today, as promised, I have my mother here. I told you guys, I actually announced on Instagram that you're gonna have like a more permanent position here on the channel.
Oh my God, the pressure of that.
So, we're here with a new video. I'm approaching my 26th year of life, as we may or may not know. So this one's gonna be like me at 25 versus you at 25. Obviously, we're from two different generations, so this should be interesting. How are you today?
I'm actually doing pretty good, can't complain. Life is good.
Do you remember 25 right now?
You know, that's a very, very good question. I remember 25 only because it was the year before I had you.
So you were already pregnant at this point?
By this point, probably.
Yeah. November. Yeah, right?
No, actually, no,
because you'd be pregnant for a whole year.
That's right, no.
No, not yet, but almost about to be.
So because, you know, I had planned that I wanted to have a kid by a certain time, I was already thinking like, okay, this is definitely, you know, and I was already late compared to my other friends and everybody else around me at that time.
Were you on schedule for your own self?
Well, it was more like after I'm married for about 3 years that I want to have a child. So that's where I was.
Gotcha.
At the time.
All right, let's see. Question number 1. At 25, what was your favorite thing to eat?
That's a, let's see.
Because, you know, metabolism and everything was different back then. So what were you doing? What was your go-to?
Oh my God, there were so many things. Because, you know, I love to eat, as you know. And I think at the time, one of my favorite things was this Chinese dish that I used to love. It was called sizzling steak with scallops.
Wait, what the hell?
Even though I've never been a big beef, you know, meat eater, but I loved how they prepared it, like sizzling, and it had a lot of scallops, which I loved, and then all the vegetables. So that was one of my favorite dishes that, you know, we used to have like on weekends all the time. Yeah, and of course, you know, I also liked all my Dominican things that I used to eat all the time, but that was something that I discovered around that time.
I feel like sushi is my favorite food.
Which
of all time, ever.
I was gonna say that's been for a long time.
I would say anything spicy. I mean, like you said, like I like Dominican food too. Like rice and beans, obviously, is a go-to. But like foreign things, yeah, definitely spicy sushi. Number 2, at 25, what did you do for fun on the weekends?
Well, dancing, also singing, because I used to sing, you know, in merengue bands. So I used to do that, and I used to like to dance, and go to the theater, go to the movies.
So at 25, you were still doing that? You were still
yeah,
singing
I was,
and stuff?
Yeah, until you were born. I did it. I mean, I remember singing until even after you were born for a little bit.
Oh shoot!
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
And then going to the movies. I was always that. I mean, we would go to the movies all the time.
So back then at 25, what was the movie that was like boom popping?
Well, I don't know if it was exactly at 25, but around that time, I remember that there was this big release of one of the Godfather movies. I think it was number 3, maybe, at the time.
So that's what was popping back then.
It was a big release around this time, close to Christmas time. And I remember going online, and it was really cold. I should have said in line, not online, because we didn't have the internet.
Yeah, true.
Being in line for hours and hours because we wanted to go see that movie that first day.
Yeah, people don't really do that anymore.
For movies, probably not, because now you can go online
and
buy your tickets
and everything. Like,
yeah.
Low key, that was kind of an experience because even when I was young too, people were still doing that, like lining up for a movie. That was definitely still a thing.
Yeah.
So, and I
That's
feel like that was
changed.
such an experience. Like that's definitely not it anymore. I wonder, did people say that the movies are gonna die? Like, what do you think about that?
Well, you mean experiencing the movie at the theater?
Yeah.
I think it's probably dying a little bit more and more as the days go by, as the years go by, but I think it shouldn't, because there are movies that you really have to experience in a setting like that with a big screen and the sound and all that kind of stuff. There are others that I'm like, oh, I could see that on TV, it's fine, but others no, so it shouldn't. I hope it does.
Mostly though, I feel like I'm kind of a paranoid person. I don't really like being, I don't know, I don't like being out too much.
You mean in public? Like,
yeah, or if we do go out, it's like I'm pretty much one of the first people to be like,
let's go home.
I'm like, so that soup we left on the stove, I'm like ready to go. Like, God. I don't know.
Did you inherit that from me too? Oh God.
Was that how you were? Like, you were like out and you're like, ready to go home?
I kind of still am.
Yeah.
Bonk.
There comes a time where I'm like, I don't want to be out there when all the people start getting drunk crazy and like,
and I definitely don't like to be in places when it's like getting ready to get wrapped up, like time to leave, because you know some people don't like to leave. And they just start throwing fits or whatever it is. Like, At 25, what was your most prized possession?
Wow, material prized possession or just something in general?
Yeah.
Well, I think my most prized possession was the idea that I was on my way to doing something with my life, because by that age I was already married and I was already working, you know, to trying to build a career. So I think that the idea that I was already trying to make my way.
Yeah, so the fact that you felt like you weren't in like a limbo, like you knew what the hell was going on, was like a prized possession.
Or trying, because it's not that I had it all, you know, mapped out and knew what was going to happen. It was more like, oh, I'm on my way. This could be a way. This could be a way to go.
Wow, that's kind of deep. My most prized possession at 25 is probably this thing, because I can like work on here. I can talk to people. I can like, especially now with this YouTube stuff, if this were to go, it would probably be bad for me. So.
Well, maybe if I had grown up in this time, you know, I probably would feel the same. But like back then, you know, I've never been a kind of person who's like into stuff, or never really had stuff. You know, I didn't really have like, because you know, at that age, again, at 25, we were starting out. It's not like, oh, we had this like apartment with all this trimmings and all this stuff. Not really. So the important things was more about, you know, the experiences or the hopes and the dream. 26 now is not 26 back when I was 26.
If you could compare it, if you could be like, 26 now is probably like for me back in my day.
Well, I would say maybe somebody who was in their early teens, maybe. Or
Jesus.
Or actually, I'm sorry, not early, late teens. More like
yeah, okay.
Because you know, you don't have the same sense of urgency or I don't know, need. Or let's go back to that. Before I was in my 20s, I was living at home in a situation where it's like, well, you know, I don't come from a rich family, so I have to, you know, find a way, find a career that is going to set me up so that I can, you know, help them. Whereas your generation, you know, because we went through that, we made sure that, you know, your lives were easier, your lives were better, and you didn't have to worry about taking care of us.
Yeah. So
as a result, you don't have the same kind of sense of urgency.
Yeah.
And you have, you know, the opportunity and the time to sit there and say, what do I want to do?
Just think more, yeah.
What do I feel like doing? I mean, I was lucky that I found something that I really like to do, which is what I do now, you know, advertising, writing. Because I was able to tap into, what did I really like when I was in high school?
Yeah, lucky you were able to do that.
Yeah.
You know, because some people's parents that I know, like, they're just kind of, like, in something. And they've been doing it for, like, 30 years. And it's more so, like you said, like, that sense of urgency. So they picked something that they felt like was worth the money. and like the time and effort, but they never got a chance to ask themselves like, what do I like to do?
Yeah.
Like, what should I do, or what should I have done? To this day, probably haven't even thought of it. Like, you know.
Yeah, it's definitely different. I think you can't measure yourself the same way by the same standard because things have changed so much.
Yeah. Okay. At 25, how did you share big news?
You would call people.
Just straight up
You
dial
would just
people, huh?
get on the phone and call people. Or you call them and be like, "Oh, hey, are you there?" You would go over and you would talk to them. Because if it was big stuff, you would want to do it in person. So you would go over there.
That's so dead now.
I know.
So
I think that
dead.
kind of sucks though, because you lose that.
Yeah, and we make so many excuses to why we can't like hang out with people. Like,
I'm busy.
I'm busy. I could just text them. I could just call. Whatever. Like if call. I could just text them or Instagram DM, whatever the hell it is, this information instead of like
So
you said.
So that's what you guys do.
Yeah. I feel like when I have something to share with people, I'm definitely texting them.
How often do you even talk to your friends on the phone?
Not very often. Like I answer the phone a lot. You see me. I don't usually dial people.
But you're not the one that starts it.
Yeah, no.
Well, let me ask you something about that. Do you, when you say you kind of lost it, do you miss it? Do you remember doing it when you were younger, or?
No, because by the time I had a phone, really had a phone, it was like in high school. Before that, I didn't really have big news to share with people. You know what I mean? Like as a kid, there wasn't like, oh, I'm calling my friends because I got a new car. Like I was a little kid, so I feel like by the time I got a phone, I was just starting to like have things happen to me, and that was already my culture, if that makes sense. It was never my culture
to call.
Yeah, no, I was
so
never part of. No,
you didn't really miss it.
No, I mean I think it's now observing. I think it's sad.
You think it would have been nice?
It would have been nicer probably to be on that side of history, but here we are. Okay, when you were 25, what was the go-to like makeup trend or look at the time?
I remember.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, it was a lot of eyeshadow and a lot of colors. I remember I used to do like a rainbow thing.
Really?
Seriously, it was like a 3-layer, like a golden, a pinkish, and like a bluish.
What? I'm done.
And it was colored eyeliners galore. More than even lipstick, it was more about eyeshadow.
And what year was that? The 20s for you?
Well, let's not say that because then,
Oh, okay.
Then people don't know how old I really am.
Makeup trends for me, I think it's probably the highlight thing, looking like a donut. I'm curious to see how we're going to look back at this, though, because...
Oh, you mean the way we look back at our pictures
right.
and go, oh my God!
Yeah.
You did a rainbow on your face.
Yeah. I'm already starting to look at this like, what?
So then maybe you should start your own trend. If you get bored of it. If you're getting bored.
What? What else was there to do now? I mean, it looks cute, but I see how in some years I'm going to be like, that was not it. That was not it. That was not it. Why do you look like you're sweaty?
The other thing that we used to do back then was the thick eyebrows. Which I see a lot of girls are doing now. But I see that girls don't really do eyeshadow now. Like girls your age,
some people do. It's like what's popular right now is the cut crease thing where it's like your eyelid is white and then like or cream.
But not like color. There isn't like a whole bunch of color.
Yeah, it's a lot of like naturally browns and nudes.
Yeah, we would have never done that.
Yeah, people that really play with color are like people on YouTube that are like famous for wild looks. Next question. Okay, so at 25, how important was voting?
I have to be very honest to you. When I was 25, when I was your age, I was nowhere near as interested or involved as you and your friends are. It was like, I was living in New York and mostly in a Dominican neighborhood where nobody was into that. Nobody was into voting. It's like you were isolated in this world. Yeah. And you didn't feel like that had anything to do with you. Like you had any say or a vote from you would make any change or matter in any way, shape, or form. And I think a lot of young people back then were like, whatever.
Looking back at it, do you feel like there was any dialogue about it? Like, were people saying like, oh, it's not worth it? Or was it just silent? Like, nobody was talking about it?
I don't think there was a lot of dialogue, but people kind of like here and there people would talk about it, but it was just like, it was understood. Even though, we were citizens, but it was like, But when I see your generation, you guys seem to be so much more aware and involved.
Yeah, definitely. I think for me at 25, voting and just being, at least, maybe not involved directly, because, not everyone's going to get out there and, like, protest and stuff, but at least being educated at this point is very important, just because I think we learned from, like, past generations where, like, being passive like that.
Like us, you mean?
Yeah, being passive like that, something can happen. And then, like, this whole law is passed, or whatever it is, like, this whole person comes into office, and it's, like, that can really screw things up if you don't know what the hell's going on. So, yeah, I would say for 25, it's pretty damn important, especially with the freaking president we have now. Who was the president when you were 25?
¿Cómo se llama este niño? Reagan. I think it was Reagan.
Oh, people didn't like him, right? Or did they?
Some people did. Some people didn't. I mean, I remember thinking, oh, this dude was an actor. Great. But I never felt like he affected my life every single day or upset me to the point where I want to kill him like I did with this guy.
Right, where we're at now. I was gonna say, because you were kind of, not that Trump was an actor, but he was a public person. All right, next question. Okay, at 25, what was your biggest responsibility?
Biggest responsibility at 25. I mean, I had a lot of things going on because, you know, like I said, I had the band. I had my job. I had a marriage. We weren't there yet, but I had a marriage. So, you know, all the cooking. Although, to be fair, I didn't do it all on my own because, you know, your father helped out a lot. But then also, my family. And I've always felt very, very responsible, you know, just to be there and make sure everything is okay. And so, that was always there.
Yeah, that's a lot, to be honest. I'm like me at 25, my job, making sure I go to my job on the days I work, to be honest.
Hey, enjoy it. I think you're good for you.
Sheesh. That's just trippy if you think about it. Next question. At 25, what were you getting ready for?
I was getting ready for career. Trying to see, where is this going to go? Am I really going to be able to, you know, rise to the next level in advertising? Is this going to be a lifelong thing? I was definitely there at that age. And then thinking, ooh, it's almost time to, you know, get pregnant. What is that going to be like? And how am I going to combine that with work and then with the whole singing thing? Something's going to have to give.
At that moment, we all know what you chose. But at that moment, were you thinking, oh, I'm going to go advertising? Or were you think, like, did you kind of know already, when I have a kid, I'm going to let go of this?
Yeah, I think I knew because I've always been the ultra responsible kind of person. So I knew that as much as I love singing, I always knew that you couldn't totally rely on that. You could, you know, I mean, maybe some people have taken the leap and gone, oh, I'm just going to let go of everything. But I wonder if when you have a child, you do that. You know, when you're a mother, because, you know, fathers see it in a different way, I'm sure. But what was interesting is that it ended up being that this career, advertising career, required a lot of time as well. Yeah. So I didn't really have it all figured figured out as I thought I did.
Yeah, you chose like the less obvious
exactly
like, in keeping away time, but you didn't even know. Because I mean, who the hell did you know was doing advertising?
Nobody.
Like, did you even know that was a real thing? It's kind of like something that you're looking at every day, but you don't even know what the hell that is.
I had no idea. I mean, I remember to this day explaining to my mother when I switched careers.
Like,
and when I was already working in the career. And she was like, okay, so you commercials. So does that mean you're going to be in the commercials?
Like,
and
no,
I was like, no, I'm not an actress. But you're beautiful. And I was like,
you're not getting it, mother.
No.
Damn, I wonder what back then advertising was like for her. And back then you're even more oblivious to like what information is being thrown at you as far as ads.
And how that gets done.
Yeah. Oh, what am I getting ready for? At 25, I'm getting ready for... I'm very, right now, I feel like I'm very, like small goal oriented. Like I said, like by the end of the year, I want to hit 1,000. I want to do more collaborations next year with YouTube and stuff. So I'm not really trying not to put so much pressure on myself of like what I'm looking forward to. Because otherwise, with anxiety and me, I'm gonna be freaking stressed out. So,
but it sounds like even though you have those little like goals, which I think is probably more realistic and like you said, less anxiety inducing.
Yeah.
It sounds like you still have a big goal though, because when you decide to embark on something like this, you do have an overall goal.
Well, yeah. I guess what I'm looking forward to is ultimately being successful on YouTube.
So there you go.
For sure, yeah.
So you do have
definitely.
I
guess you're
it's
right.
just that you're taking it day by day, which is the smartest way to go if you don't want to go cuckoo.
Yeah, because I will. Me, I definitely, you know I will. So, at 25, what was the scariest thing going on at the time?
I'm trying to think. While I think, why don't you talk about what's...
Scariest thing for me at 25, I think for me it's been like this police brutality stuff, like with the black and brown people. Like, I know that has never not been a thing, obviously. Like, if they didn't just start doing that now that I'm 25. But I guess me being an adult now and us with these phones and being able to see things that I'm not desensitized to, because you know how I grew up, I never was around violence. Like, even the high schools I went to, I never saw a fight. I never saw people hurting each other, even like what people call juvenile stuff. That's not like really violent. To me, it all makes the same feeling in my stomach of like. So it's been pretty scary for me watching some of these videos and like how people have passed or been murdered, I should say, by like people that you're supposed to be like, you know, going to for help. Scary as hell. And also I think Donald Trump being president has been pretty terrifying. But I also think it's a good thing because
him being president?
Yeah, like I know some sketchy people have banded together because of him, but a lot of strong people have banded together to go against that.
Okay.
So, and I think that, I don't know how the hell it's going to resolve itself, but I do think that this like weird ass bump in the road has kickstarted some type of change, because I think before this we didn't acknowledge that there's still racism in this country, that there's still, we kind of tried to like...
I certainly was very naive about it.
Yeah, we're trying to act like, oh, that was in the 50s, like that's yesterday, bruh.
Very much. It really shocked me.
Yeah. So, and I think...
I'm like way older than you.
Yeah, so, and I think that like with this coming out, it was like, oh, there's still people over here. There's still, and we kind of knew already before, like, oh yeah, people in Texas are kind of sketchy. Like, people over here kind of sketchy. But this is like, no, the people in that city, in that county, they're still tripping over there. They're still tripping. It was very specific.
Very scary.
So, yeah, scary.
But I get what you're saying. Because people are more aware of that, people are banding together to fight that.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't personally scary for me, but I remember that it was a crazy time because they had all the riots and everything happening in LA. And that was kind of like, whoa, it was the beginning of almost, you know, this kind of age, what you were saying before with the phones. It was actually a camera that somebody happened to have. And it was like, wow, okay, so if that person had been there to document what was happening, nobody would have known. Yeah. And then the riots happened and, you know, all this kind of stuff. So yeah, that was a scary time. At
25, I was most hopeful for, at 25, I'm most hopeful for success in career. Being at least comfortable. Because I do want to stay in the Bay Area, and as we all know,
so expensive.
It's very expensive here. So I definitely look forward to at least being able to stay here.
So that's what you're most hopeful for?
Yes.
But you know, it's interesting because I remember when you were younger, you seemed to be really, really focused on being a mom. I mean, when you were a little kid, you would talk about, oh, I want to have 10 kids. Yeah. Is that something that you still...
Yeah, I am still hopeful.
I mean, maybe not 10, right?
Maybe. I mean, maybe. No, I am hopeful.
Are you going to be like Angelina Jolie?
Maybe. Yeah, if I could adopt something, that maybe the 10 would make more sense. But, yeah, I'm still hopeful for that. I guess, like, the baby daddy situation is why I'm not so, like, because, you know, when you're young, you think, oh, yes, I'm just gonna get married, and you don't really think about that, but now you get older, you're like, who is this person? Not knowing what the hell that is about has made that hope kind of like, we gonna see if we even get there. Because, you know, it's, like, sketchy these days, like, having a partner that, as we know, they say they're down, and then they're not. So,
yeah, I mean, look how it went with me, right?
That's what I'm saying. So,
I waited the 3 years, because, you know, it was the perfect timing according to me back then.
And still it was not lit.
Still ended up getting divorced. That was not on my schedule, by the way.
Yeah, no. And then, okay, you have one single mom. That's hard enough, right? Imagine me 10, single mom. Hello? No. So, yeah.
Well, you know, I think one thing that we haven't touched on was, and we kind of did, but not exactly, but it was like all the plans that you make around that age.
Yeah.
You know, and the expectations.
Especially.
And remember how I told you that I was actually, you know, kind of like behind the times compared to a lot of my friends. You know, I remember when I got engaged, people were like, oh, well, finally. And I'm thinking, but I'm only like 21. But back then, it was, especially in the neighborhood where I grew up in, it was seen as, oh, well, you're, you know, you should be already like, you know, married. And then, okay, so then I get married. And then it was like, so when is the kid coming? And I'm like, it's not coming because
it's not coming.
Not for bitches. Now, because I have career plans, because I want to, you know, I want to do something with my life. And it was like, so, but isn't being a mother the more important thing ever? Oh, and not a mother of one, because then they're never happy with that one child. Remember, you know, I had you. So after the 3 years and of hearing constantly, so when are you getting pregnant? You know. Yeah. So I have you, and then it was like, so when did pero you're gonna raise this child all by herself? No more kids? Oh my God. You know, so then you have all that kind of pressure.
And these are your friends too, not just like your aunties and like...
Them too. And then of course I'm seeing them and they're having like all these kids, so it's like, okay.
So, but then, you know, that's an interesting thing. That's like a cultural thing, right? Like, you know, young people being pressured into like having kids, getting married and all that. Did you ever feel like you had friends maybe that you saw, like maybe they never said anything or maybe they did, but like that they had to do these things, but they didn't feel natural, or maybe they didn't want to, or they didn't look like they were like having a good time doing the mom stuff. Because I feel like women are so like, especially in our culture, like pressured to do this crap, and it's like, do we even like that?
I don't think at the time. I think it was something that we realized with time. You know, I've talked about it with some friends, and it's like, damn, I didn't even know who I was.
Yeah.
But yet here I was, planning, I am going to be, you know, a wife at this age, and I'm going to have these many kids, because that's what society and our mothers and everybody else expected.
Yeah.
So you had to deliver. But you know, I got to tell you, and I've told you this before, but I'll tell you again. I think that what you're doing right now is very healthy, because you're saying, okay, I'm setting goals.
That I can reach right here in like a week or two.
Yeah, because you already have your overall goal.
Yeah.
So, you know, set your goals and let things, you know, happen.
Yeah.
Work hard for it, but let things happen. Like, don't put all this, oh, because by this age, if I don't have a kid, if I'm not a mom, if I don't have a house.
Yeah. No, it's true, because then you start just feeling crazy.
Yeah, and let's face it. I mean, it may sound like a cliche, but you only have right now.
Yeah, no, for sure. And
that's one thing I learned, because I was Miss Planner.
Yeah, and I've really realized that, or I've been thinking about it more with, like, I told you that girl passing away, and, like, your mortality, and then you're like, ooh, you might be thinking, oh, yes, in 10 years, I want to have this, and then you're like, suddenly you get back, like, am I even going to be here in 10 years? Like, what am I doing right now to feel good? Because...
Exactly. It's almost like you have to be able to have, like, a vision of the future. Like, don't lose sight of that.
Right.
But don't lose sight of this here, right now.
Yeah.
You have to kind of like balance it out.
Yeah, no, for sure. Because you could be living in tomorrow so much, and you're not even, and then whatever, God forbid, you pass away, and you didn't have fun right now. So yeah, we gonna see, people. Yeah. We gonna be back. This was our video 1, just to get you guys warmed up to our newest, more consistent addition to our show, my mother. Well, now we're gonna go sushi, right? Oh, yeah. I'm hella starving already, actually. My stomach is rumbling. Woo! All right, dudes. Catch you in the next video. Bye!